Good morning, Suzanne Joy.
Good morning, Deborah Leanne. Cheers to you.
Cheers, and I am delighted. Can I introduce the topic?
Absolutely.
When I first started playing with this, I couldn't figure it out. So dislocation is the shadow. We're talking about the gene key number two of the Richard Rudd book, Gene Keys. And this mysticism is ancient. It's based on the I Ching. And this particular gene key two starts with a shadow of dislocation and it moves into unity, which seems kind of like, well, it's just why it is at the other end of the spectrum. And on the pathway of, I totally forgot, pathway of
Orientation.
orientation. I remember it had something to do with hiking and finding your way, which is what it sometimes is. So, oh, tell me your initial impressions when you were studying this one.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, when I think of uh, this particular key, so there's the gene key one and gene key two. Gene key one is very masculine. Gene key two is very feminine. And
It
um,
is the feminine, he
it
says.
is the
It is.
feminine,
Uh-huh.
right? And so they're programming partners. You need the masculine and the feminine, obviously. And we're not talking about male and female here. This is all within each one of us. But there's um I'm feeling when we are in dislocation is it's like we're not remembering who we are.
Absolutely. We are what I think about this one is we always think that we are alone or that we're separate or that
Right.
we many of the other shadows are very similar to this and that we're just it's our not self. And so it's it also has to do with not seeing. This is what I love about why did that happen to me?
Right.
Really? I got this genetic makeup or this illness or this divorce or whatever that has happened in my life. And yet everything, when you get to the higher states of awareness and consciousness, it's like nothing moves on this planet without it being beautifully orchestrated.
Oh, yeah. That's when you
So
can just relax into it. It's that surrender. And usually
and
when we
noticing
fight,
the beauty, right, which is the
Mhm.
programming partner. But I mean, like how often do we get into I'm the only one that this happens to, or so I'm just laughing because I it was just like that yesterday.
It's like,
And I
oh,
literally was at a volunteer thing and I tripped. I was in a hurry and I run around the corner and there was a big cart there and I tripped over it and landed on this hard cement floor and totally did a number on me. I'm laying there with ice packs on my knees crying. And my friends are all like, what are you did you hurt yourself that badly? I was like, no, it's just been a terrible day.
it's okay. We have those days.
They were like, they'd never seen me like this. And they're like, okay. So anyway, when we're in that thing of, I mean, I wish I could have laughed because that's immediately I look at how I was programming my body into this is bad. I went into a immediate reaction of that was stupid, and versus, oh, Deborah, sometimes you're moving too fast,
Just
I
gotta
mean,
slow it down.
yeah. And that would have been the feminine, the mothering,
Right.
which these two women came over and loved on me and hugged me and brought me the ice pack. I mean, it was the most amazing experience in so many ways because I got to feel so much love,
Yeah.
which helped me to remember to be forgiving of me. Anyway, I just laugh because I'm like, I was one of those people that was in the place of shadow of dislocation yesterday.
Well, and um, when we are dislocated, a lot of times we react and we move through life with a state of fear. And so that's why it's dislocated because it's not harmonious in a way that is flowy. it feels very disjointed. And so
It's
you're,
different from water, right? And he talks, this
right.
is like a gene key of water.
Yeah. And so it's really about flowing. He talks about the repressive nature of this key being lost. Like you just feel lost. And that's when you are out of alignment with your universal design. You're not listening to your heart. You're not listening to your beingness. And we are all connected cosmically in our, I mean, you can say it's mystic, but we are connected
Well,
energetically.
and yeah, and the electromagnetic aura
Right.
that we are is part of the electromagnetic energy of the planet and beyond and the space beyond it. So
Right. I mean, I giggle when I think about the fact that um, people go, "Oh, I don't have that kind of gift." I'm like, everybody has their direct connect.
yeah.
Everybody does. I mean, and I know that we have certain people that we go to when we are getting those training wheels, or we're like getting
Learning
our
to
own.
trust, yeah, and learning
Right.
to honor that intuitive thing or yeah.
Yeah. I was talking with somebody yesterday about that because he's like, well, I just don't know about trusting all of that. And I'm like, well, it took me a little bit. I mean, I would go to practitioners and they're like, why are you second guessing, Suzanne? And I'm like, I don't know. It just doesn't, like, I don't feel like I know enough.
Oh,
Like, is it real?
yeah.
So
And
I mean, we all go through those training grounds of muscle memory and like being able to connect to source and our divine
and it's
connection.
it's not, you can't get there.
No,
And I
this is
love that about how we have done such a brilliant job of evolving into this thinking mechanism, this thinking organism. And that
mm,
now we've got that. Now we're evolving beyond that, which means this can take a rest
right.
and we get to relax into the
Oh,
allness,
oh yeah,
unified field of it all.
it feels so much better. Well, I worked and operated, especially in my 30s, 20s, 30s, and 40s, with a very masculine, like one state. It was very just very heavily do, and just this is the way it is. It's very structured. Um, and actually, that's kind of funny because when you look at the reactive nature to this key, I was very regimented. And
Ah,
that's
I
what it
love that
is.
that's the react. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I know that one. You mean rules?
Yes.
I mean, like,
Well,
why
and
don't
there's some,
people follow the rules that, according to
well,
Deborah?
yeah. And he says, the true meaning and purpose of life is not only to be found within one's heart in the mystical experience of moving in perfect synchronization with all that is. I felt like I had to figure it out. So I wasn't relaxing into my knowingness and following my GPS. I mean, I'm sure I was. I mean, this is where I have my paradox. I feel as though sometimes I get into these states of um, oh, I had to have it all figured out. I was very in my masculine. Oh, but wait a second. That was perfect because that's exactly what brought me over into this other space of learning more about trusting my own intuition and trusting my solar plexus too.
Yeah.
This is
And
about
if you
really
think,
diving into this operating system as opposed to this operating system.
right,
It's
and,
not an operating system. Remember, this is a CPU
right,
that processes information.
and
Drop.
down below your heart space is that
Yeah.
beautiful center that we've become disconnected from, which
Yeah.
is connecting to us to everything.
Right.
The one thing I was going to say when you were talking about that is that he described the yang energy of gene key one as uh, becoming energy. So it's got more
Mm,
action,
right.
whereas the second gene key is the being.
Mm,
And the other thing that I think is fascinating is that probably 5,000 years ago in the original I Ching, this was the number one gene key. It began with the mother, the feminine energy, to birth the masculine. We all were one, and then we started taking things apart. So
Are we going to have a whole chicken and egg, discussion?
It's
Which came first?
well, I just saw somebody wearing that T-shirt yesterday, and I said, "Which one came first?" And she goes, "I don't know, both." And I went, "Maybe." So, but so where I want to go though is if it because the mother gave birth. I mean, it's like the whole idea of a feminine Christ energy, the whole idea of the feminine intelligence is it's the creator, right?
Right.
We
Right. Exactly.
birthed the rest. So anyway, if that's the case, and it doesn't matter, but we're coming back into the masculine serving the feminine because the feminine just is,
Right.
and the masculine gives and protects. So it's such a different way of being for most of us, even women who grew up in such a patriarchal, masculine thinking culture. Um, but it's a good thing because when we get those moments now where we're like, oh, there's another part of me that doesn't have to think, and it feels so much more lovely hanging out in this space.
Mm-hmm.
And then that space of unity, I find it fascinating that my book skipped completely over the gift. I went from the shadow to the unity, but um, the unity is such a space of um, calm and peace and centeredness and exchange with the universe.
Mm. Receptivity. That's where the magic happens, and that's where synchronicities happen. And
Oh, and yeah, and he talked about that. That's a way that you know that you're in the gift path is the synchronicities. There
I
were two
had,
things he said about that, about there's two paths. Do you remember that on the gift? One was that you
oh,
start, tell
yeah,
me.
synchronicity is the direct manifestation of the gift of orientation. That's the gift is orientation. Like that you're in alignment when things kind of like just fall into place.
Yeah.
And so this is a really funny. This is a good funny. And I also feel like my guides had something to do with this. This dear friend of ours asked us to go to this event this weekend. And I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know that. And then I said to my team, I'm like, if we are to attend this event on Saturday night, make it really clear and make it really easy. And then I'll make my decision very quickly. So this morning, I got Andrew says, um, so my dear friend called me and said, we have 2 free tickets to go to this event. Can I say yes? And I'm like, yes. like, here you go. You didn't have to work hard for it. There's just like, of course, there it
Yeah.
is. That's when I know, allow it to be easy, allow it to be fun, um, and allow it to just unfold as opposed to having to like, I felt
Well,
like I was in that
things.
receptive space,
Yeah, and
you know?
understand things and how does this fit together with this? And once I got out of the business of that, I
Yeah.
don't need to know. In fact, life is a more beautiful space if I stop trying to figure it all out. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, but they said that the shift in the awareness that gets you more into the gift of orientation has to do with it either something that happens in your awareness that affects your actions or something that changes in your actions that affects your awareness. So something
Mm.
shifts that all of a sudden things start clicking into, and it'll be different depending on who you are. Oh, wow. That's all like that's all connected. Like I'm in the perfect place at the perfect time in this perfect life, and then you can get into that, you can start operating from that orientation place, which still to me sounds like I'm orienting like based on the sun and the moon and the stars, but it's all of it, right? A
It's
map.
I believe that it's all of it. I mean, don't get me wrong. This past weekend, as a perfect example, I felt very listless and just like in the void. And those are perfect times too.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I would judge it and go, oh my God, I just want to be out of this. Like, I don't feel like myself. My energy is low. what am I, what am I doing here? Who am I? What is happening? So we all go through those moments, I believe. I know that it's not just me.
No, it's the human thing of
Right.
helping us get reoriented, going, oh,
Right.
now I remember
Oh,
where I
oh,
am.
that's right. Oh, I remember all that magic. And that's when I said to my team, I'm like, show me some signs. I'd really like to have a little play here. I'd like to enjoy the synchronicities and the fun and the gifts. And yesterday was pretty magical. I got to connect with lots of various different people. And all along the way, it was just like ping, 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 like seeing all of the beautiful signs that we've been given to know that we are in alignment, and everything is unfolding perfectly. So
Yeah,
just
and it and
just
it and
trust
right
that.
now we need to let it and
Oh
stop
yeah.
the second guessing, because I feel that we are then adding to the collective human fear of
Mm,
chaos, right? So
right.
as light workers, I mean, those anyone who's listening to this is already at a consciousness level that we can hold the space by remembering to come back to that space of orienting and come
Right.
back to that space of unity, because we're the ones that are also trying to hold that energy into becoming bigger. Oh, what did I just hear? One of the intuitive guys was talking, and he said that his guides told him that we only need 30% of the planet to wake up, to get to a place of awareness. So each time we operate from our gift or pop into that citic state, we're like amplifying that energy on the planet, which helps it to ripple out. So I feel like that's our job. That's our job, to support all of us, the collective, through this intense change.
Yeah. And he talks about the cosmic change, the 2012, and then now like the big cycle that like comes about in 2027. So just have patience. This is where I am like, oh, timelessness, and recognizing that nothing, I mean, it is cyclical. Just allow it to unfold naturally. I mean, will everything go, in 2027? No, not necessarily, but your consciousness is, you playing in this space um, allows the naturalness of who you are to unfold. And as he talks about, and this is Richard's quote, enlightenment is not an experience. it, it is it's a thing to like contemplate and just be aware of. But if you're trying to get to a specific state, that's when you get into that linear thinking.
Well, and
So,
that's the very masculine yang energy, right? That's the
right.
becoming versus dropping back into being. I think it's also very much the way our body is held. Are we leaning forward? Are we trying to get there? Are we moving into it? Are
Right.
we in the future, or can we be in the present, which is a whole different energy? Can I do the mudra now?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just going to show you this picture, because most of the time when you look at the mudra on the I purchased the mudras, which you can get at the Gene Keys website. For each gene key, there is a mudra, which is a hand movement or a body movement that allows you to deepen into this citic state. And this image was so intense. I just thought it was so beautiful. And basically, he describes it as if you're standing, unlocking your knees, but allowing the lower half of your body to sink in and the upper half of the body to just breathe and open and receive the universe, and then just exchange. So as you breathe, you can feel the energy flowing in and out of your hands, almost as if the universe is in us and we are holding the universe, and vice versa. And I also like that this gene key was called the Quan or something, which has to do with the field. And
Mm,
I've been playing a lot with that terminology of the field of the unified field, the field
mm.
of unity. We've been playing with it in the type of leadership work that I've been working with and studying. And I love this because I'm like, oh, that's what this is. And we call it, when we get together, the practitioners all still have monthly reunions. We go, come play with the fizzies, because we can feel the energy even
Mm.
when we were together in person, but now we've just been meeting online, and we can still feel
Can
when we
still
drop
feel the
in
energy.
the energy of our group all together and how
Mm.
fantastic that feels. So,
Oh, I forgot. This is in the ring of water. And
yes.
so the partner in the this is one of the gene keys. The other gene key is gene key 8. And just think about this kind of ring. So the shadow of this is dislocation. The shadow of the eighth is mediocrity.
Ah,
The gift is orientation, and the gift of the eighth gene key is style. And the Siddhic state, the Siddhic state of unity, and the city of the eighth is exquisiteness. So it's you, your diamond self, showing up in water and recognizing that we all shine like diamonds in unity of returning to the one. Ooh. Mm.
and that's one of my absolute favorite moments. And I can never capture it with my phone camera, but I try. Maybe a video next time would work. But when you see the early morning sun or the late afternoon, but mostly it's morning sun when it's shining on the
Mm-hmm.
water ripples, and it's those little diamonds of light. I like that. Just I feel like a little kid at Disneyland. I'm like, oh, I just get so excited. And I mean, I'm like, oh,
Yeah. Okay. I'm feeling it.
you do it,
Um,
girl.
Top, middle, or bottom? I'm pulling cards.
Middle, because we're
Or
the middle.
middle, right in the middle. What do it's like my question is what would be useful for us this week?
Okay, useful and unity. Okay.
You are going to laugh. So this is Wisdom of the Oracle. And this card today is called Time for a Nap. Time for a nap.
Oh, I love that card.
And isn't that kind of interesting when we reflect on this particular key of returning to the one? Sometimes in our busyness or our hurriedness, we don't slow down enough. So it's really talking about resting, rejuvenation, renewal, temporary non-action, allowing that space. The When you're in the yin space, that space for creativity and allowing those dreams to arise. So I'll leave the card in the comments, but basically this is a time for rest this week, you guys. If you can, take some time out for you.
Yes, please. Thank
Oh,
you.
chakalaka. Mic drop.
That note. Take excellent care, everyone. We so appreciate being here with you and look forward to our next time.
Much love. Have a great week.